WrestleTalk's new book, Wrestling Unmasked, is here, taking a deep dive into the sometimes seedy, often outrageous, and nearly always controversial underbelly of professional wrestling, drawing parallels with social and political events and exploring how they impact the business, for better or worse. Now, we all implore you to run out and grab your own copy today. However, if you'd like a quick Cliff Notes run through some of the truly shocking revelations from the book, we've got you covered in this video. So sit back, relax, and brace yourself for 7 shocking revelations from the pages of Wrestling Unmasked. Number 7. Eric Bischoff regrets his involvement in the Eugene storyline. In 2004, WWE introduced the world to the kayfabe nephew of Monday Night Raw GM Eric Bischoff, Eugene. Portrayed by Nick Dinsmore, who had 8 years of in-ring experience for promotions such as the USWA, NWA, and WCW, Eugene was a total repackaged job, to a degree about as severe as you were ever likely to see, as Dinsmore, upon his debut on WWE TV, was made to portray a wrestler with some form of undefined developmental disability. While WWE never went as far to actually officially label Eugene with a particular disability, his behaviors such as stimming mirrored those seen in individuals on the autistic spectrum. While Eugene had moments of triumph, like winning the World Tag Team titles with William Regal and even competing against Triple H in a high-profile match at SummerSlam 2004, the character was often just used for comic relief, with WWE clearly looking to garner laughs at Eugene's expense. Eric Bischoff, reflecting on Eugene years later on his podcast in 2022, expressed regret over his involvement, stating it was meant to be lighthearted, entertaining, and non-serious, while acknowledging the potential harm such portrayals could cause, especially to parents with children with learning disabilities who enjoyed wrestling. Bischoff lamented, "What I didn't understand is that a lot of these things we did on television impacted the audience in ways that I never would have anticipated at the time. It bothers me a little bit that I was part of that." Eugene's character was controversial then and now, with a whole lot of hindsight and fresh 2023 eyes. It's one of the worst inventions Vince McMahon has ever cooked up in that warped brain of his. Despite the argument that the Eugene character was an attempt to inspire fans with developmental disabilities, it's quite clear his predominant purpose was comic relief, with the exploitation of his differences to the normal superstars used for entertainment purposes. Number 6. GLAD felt betrayed by the Billy and Chuck storyline. In late 2001, in the heat of the WCW invasion, another random tag team was formed between ex-Alliance member Chuck Palumbo and a rather directionless Billy Gunn. What became of this alliance, known ingeniously as Billy and Chuck, began typically enough. However, as their alliance grew, WWE began hinting that a romantic relationship was also blooming between the two wrestlers. Their interactions, from matching outfits to sharing intimate locker room moments, suggested more than just a tag team partnership. Leaning into this, the team even introduced Rico to WWE, playing the pair's flamboyant stylist. The storyline took a significant turn when Chuck proposed a commitment ceremony to Billy on live television, which Billy accepted amidst mixed reactions from the audience. Surprisingly, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, GLAD, supported the storyline, viewing it as a potential breakthrough in television representation. Naturally, due to the angle being truly uncharted territory for WWE, it also led to mainstream media coverage, with Billy and Chuck appearing on prominent platforms like NBC's Today Show and being featured in major publications. However, when it came time for the pair to commit to one another on the 12th of September 2002 edition of SmackDown, things took an unexpected turn. As the ceremony was about to conclude, both Billy and Chuck revealed that their relationship was merely a publicity stunt, exclaiming, "We're not gay," to a massive pop from the live audience, and the segment ended with both men being destroyed by 3-minute warning. GLAD, quite rightly, felt deceived by this bait and switch, stating that they were misled about the storyline's direction. Not long thereafter, the Billy and Chuck tag team dissolved, reinforcing the notion that pro wrestling was sadly not yet ready to embrace openly gay characters in a respectful and genuine manner. Number 5. Classy Freddie Blassie had a run-in with the mob. In the golden era of professional wrestling, when the lines between scripted entertainment and reality were blurred by kayfabe, wrestlers often faced real threats from passionate fans who believed in the authenticity of in-ring rivalries and the dastardly deeds of those heelish heels. No greater example of this came when, following a match on June 26, 1964 in Jersey City, New Jersey, WWE Hall of Famer Classy Freddie Blassie had a far too real encounter with Bruno Sammartino at the end of their scheduled match. Blassie controversially defeated Sammartino with a low blow, enraging the audience. Post-match, Blassie inadvertently entered Sammartino's dressing room, who was still selling his injury at the time. Sammartino, a massive star and revered by Italian Americans across the East Coast, often attracted influential Italians who considered themselves his protectors. As Blassie noted in his autobiography, "Listen you pencil-neck geeks," among those were likely mobsters, not necessarily by Sammartino's choice, but due to his fame. Unable to break character in front of his entourage, Blassie taunted Sammartino. This provoked Jilly Rizzo, a known associate of Frank Sinatra with alleged mob ties, to draw a gun on Blassie. With Blassie's life hanging in the balance, Sammartino, still in character, intervened, expressing his desire to settle scores with Blassie in the ring. With this act, Sammartino not only maintained kayfabe, but potentially saved Blassie's life, highlighting the intense dedication wrestlers had to their craft and the real dangers they often faced. Good thing fans today don't take things too seriously nowadays, right? AEW fans calling the police on MJF for that prom story earlier this year notwithstanding, of course. Number 4. Antonio Inoki negotiated with Saddam Hussein to secure the release of Japanese hostages. Antonio Inoki was, and still is, held to the highest reverence in Japanese pro wrestling. However, despite all of his achievements within the sport, he was also widely celebrated for his diplomatic endeavors outside of it. One remarkable episode of history saw Inoki take on a role far removed from the ring, stepping into the complex world of international diplomacy. In the early 1990s, while Inoki was serving in Japan's House of Councillors, he would insanely go on an unofficial one-man diplomatic mission during the Gulf War. At the time, over 100 Japanese citizens found themselves held hostage in Iraq under Saddam Hussein's regime. With tensions escalating and diplomatic channels seemingly exhausted, Inoki took it upon himself to negotiate their release. Leveraging his fame and the universal appeal of sports, he proposed a unique solution: a wrestling event in Baghdad. Saddam Hussein must have been a huge Jushin Thunder Liger fan because he agreed to the proposition. In exchange for staging this wrestling spectacle, the Iraqi leader would ensure the safe return of the Japanese hostages. True to his word, Inoki organized the event, which not only served as a symbol of peace and unity in turbulent times, but also successfully secured the release of the captives. Inoki's incredible dedication to peace and humanity, truly showcasing the power of sports diplomacy and proving that sometimes wrestling can extend beyond entertainment, becoming a platform for global change. Number 3. The FBI investigated NWA on suspicion of cartel practices. Established in 1948, the National Wrestling Alliance, NWA, was the most influential wrestling organization in North America for quite some time, housing a collective of independent wrestling promoters who collaborated to ensure mutual success. One curious aspect of this agreed collaboration was the decision to have a singular world heavyweight champion to represent the organization, with this champion traveling between territories, defending the title and drawing large crowds. This system allowed promoters to maintain control over their respective regions without fear of external competition, ensuring that the top talent and biggest draws were shared among its members. However, such a collaborative approach raised eyebrows, not just from those competing in the wrestling space, but amazingly, from the FBI, due to suspicions of it operating in a cartel-like manner. The FBI began its investigation of the NWA in the late 1950s, with the primary concern being that the NWA might be violating antitrust laws by monopolizing the professional wrestling market, restricting competition, and potentially engaging in price fixing. Documents released years later revealed the extent of the FBI's investigation into the NWA's operations. While the investigation was thorough, it eventually concluded without any significant legal action against the NWA. The organization continued its operations, and its influence can still be felt in today's wrestling industry, namely by Vince McMahon, who only went and took the whole monopolizing thing to the next level with WWE just a few decades later. Number 2. In 2021, a UK wrestler was jailed for deliberately harming his opponent. In 2021, the UK wrestling scene made news headlines when a wrestler known as Jay Knox was sentenced to almost 2 years in jail for intentionally harming his opponent during a match. A severe case of what is known commonly as stiffing, delivering moves with more force than necessary, leading to real injuries. To quote WWE's legendary "Don't try this at home" video package, yes, this is entertainment, but the hazards are real. However, despite wrestling being primarily about squaring off with another foe, these hazards should never be the person standing opposite to you, with an unspoken trust between performers paramount to ensure each other's safety. The incident in question saw Knox deliberately go off script and used excessive force on his opponent, trainee wrestler Rob Wilson, causing genuine harm to his opponent when he kicked him full force in the face. This caused Wilson's face to explode, being less a case of stiffing and more full-blown assault. Thusly, this was less an issue to be handled in the locker room or in a grudge rematch like a typical storyline, and more in an actual courtroom. Knox was found guilty and sentenced to 21 months in jail, highlighting the seriousness of the offense. A stark reminder of the responsibilities performers have towards each other's safety, and how actions inside the ring can have real-world legal consequences if they cross the line from entertainment to actual bodily harm. And number 1, WWE made the bold move of running the first large-scale public event post 9/11. In the aftermath of the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, the United States was enveloped in a cloud of grief, shock, and uncertainty. As the nation grappled with the enormity of the terrorist attacks, many public events were cancelled or postponed. However, just 2 days after the attacks on September 13th, World Wrestling Entertainment made a bold decision to hold its weekly SmackDown show, making it the first significant public gathering in the US post 9/11. Vince McMahon opened the show with a heartfelt speech emphasizing the resilience and strength of the American spirit, in a moment that is perhaps one of WWE's most important. He stated that by going on with the show, WWE aimed to send a message that fear would not dictate the American way of life. The evening was not just about wrestling, it was a display of unity, patriotism, and defiance against terror. However, despite the decision to hold SmackDown as normal being celebrated by some for providing a much-needed distraction and a sense of normalcy during those trying times, not everyone was on board with it, as some others felt it was too soon for such an event. Yet, as we've learned in the past, Vince has always had a show must go on mentality, no matter how dire the circumstances. Nonetheless, the arena was filled with fans, and the atmosphere was charged with emotion. Wrestlers and audience members alike waved American flags, and the national anthem was sung with fervor by Lillian Garcia. In retrospect, WWE's SmackDown episode post 9/11 stands as a testament to the entertainment industry's role in healing and uniting communities during challenging times. It showcased the power of collective resilience and the determination to move forward, even in the face of adversity. Let's just forget about those Stephanie McMahon comments, shall we? And that's our list. Make sure to pick up your copy of Wrestling Unmasked. The link is in the description, and we will see you next week for some more content. Jam that jam. Troll, it's crazy.
You politely asked me not to.
I did. That's correct.
The more attention you bring to it, the less likely the streak will continue.
I know, yeah. Hello! Welcome to TLC, Tables, Lists, and Chairs. If it's your first time here, here's what's going to happen. All of us have come up with